Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Ceres Podcast. I'm your host, Stelios, and today I'm joined by my good friends, David Nicolaou and Mark Petrou, for one of our much-loved Podsquad episodes. David Miller and Kelly Barnes couldn't make this episode, so they send their apologies in advance and season's greetings for Christmas. These shows are always a brilliant mix of ideas, opinions, and a bit of good-natured back and forth, and judging by your messages, you enjoy them as much as we do. In this episode of the Pod Squad, we dig into the pressures that fish and chip shops are facing right now and what owners can do about them. We also discuss, sudden compliance shocks, including frozen bank accounts and fallouts from Mark's company's house filing. Then we use those experiences to sort of look at bigger points, relying on government fixes like VAT. From there, we debate the soaring cod prices, whether the sector needs to rethink its default species, and how chip shops can adapt their menus and pricing to stay resilient in a challenging market. Running a fish and chip shop isn't guesswork, it's numbers. That's why we've built the Ceres calculators, from gross profit to labour costs, peeling yields, VAT calculators. They take the hard sums out of your day-to-day so you can focus on frying great fish and chips and making money. They're free, easy to use, and they're built for shops like yours. Head to ceres.shop, click calculators at the top, and start making smarter decisions in seconds. Every fish and chip shop owner that listens to this knows that the fryer is the beating heart of your business. But if it goes down, you're not just looking at repair bills, you're looking at losing sales, customers, and your reputation. And that's why we created the Ceres Deep Fry Cleaner. Because it's not just another cleaning product. It's actually insurance in a tub. Because it cuts through stubborn carbon, oil buildup, polymerization, and it keeps your fryers running really efficiently. It reduces breakdown risk and it saves you money in the long term. And on top of that, helps you serve a better product. And the best part is it's really simple. You drop it in, let it simmer with water, rinse dry, and you're back to frying. So don't wait for problems, have it before you need it. Order your Ceres Deep Fry Cleaner today at ceres.shop and keep your business ticking away without interruption. Right, let's get stuck into this episode of the Pod Squad. I want to say hello, everybody, but
there isn't everybody.
There isn't everybody.
Not exactly a full house this morning, are we?
No, we're like, what is it, a biscuit short of a picnic? Well, that's just normal, isn't it?
We're a biscuit and a sandwich, sure.
Mark, welcome to the podcast. David Nicolaou, welcome to the podcast.
Good morning, sir.
Two notable absentees today. So before we start, David Miller asked me to share on this episode his apologies. He can't be with us today. He also wants to thank everybody for the support that all the listeners, anyone who's dealt with him, has shown him this year. It means a lot to him. He said, Merry Christmas, here's to a healthy, happy, prosperous new year. He will see us all in 2026. Well, we're seeing him next week, but he will see us all, everyone else, in 2026. But yeah,
what a lovely man
he just felt bad, bless him.
What a lovely man he is.
He is
not bad enough to turn up, but
That is true. He has been very busy with the markets, and the shop, he said, and he wanted to give Nick some time off, and he's family first, and I appreciate that. So he's got to work hard and sort of rest hard and play hard. He's getting old now, and he's had rest into the fold as well. And
we love you, David. We love you.
And Kelly's had an emergency, and she may join us, she may not. So she may just jump in halfway through. We're not sure. But I think this is the A team of the A team today. Sorry to David and Kelly, but this is the A team of the A team.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But we're here, and you're all perfectly tolerable company, so it's all good.
We'll make it work, won't we? We'll make it work.
So I was watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid yesterday, and I thought instead of a pod squad, we should record a posse.
Are you going to sing the song?
No,
A posse?
Yeah, a posse.
I thought you called me something else for a minute.
Yeah.
No, but I was saying to David, I messaged David Nicolaou last night, and I was saying I was watching it, and there's something about older films, they take ages to get to the point, and by the time they get to the point, the film's finished. Whereas films today, they sort of open guns blazing. Like there's no real story today, is there? It's just-
Every film that I seem to watch these days, it's like being on a roller coaster. Where you have this massive sweeping cameras and it's all high excitement, then it brings you down a bit, then it brings you back up a bit. It's just like, it just seems to be the generation that those films are targeted for really have very little attention span. They've got to have, their eyes dazzled.
Well, I read something the other day where Netflix has asked its panel of writers who write various shows to actually rewrite a lot of the scripts for some of their dramas to make them more suitable for two-screen viewing. And by two-screen viewing, they mean basically spoon-feed the plot through the dialogue for people that are watching the screen and watching their phones at the same time.
That's sort of two-screen viewing.
That sort, and they said that a lot of modern dramas, they've had to make it easier for people to follow it, because while people are watching TV now, they're also looking at their mobile phones, and they've literally changed the dialogue. I think it's just something to make it easier for Americans to understand. But
does this show go out much in America?
I hope not.
We do get a couple. It's not a lot. It's a small percentage.
I'll just say that's a comment from me. It's not from Ceres.
You know how litigious the Americans can be. Like, someone is already doing that.
Suing the BBC for billions. Yeah, I know. I know that. Well, two-screen viewing is a problem.
Here's a very popular opinion. If anybody's listening to this and we're talking about TV shows, watch The Sopranos. Netflix has just bought it, so it ain't gonna be long before it'll be on there. But it is the best TV series ever, and it's not something you watch whilst you're on Instagram or whatever. But
is it even better than Naked Attraction?
Well, it's a series, so there's lots more of it, and Naked Attraction isn't, but that's quite good. But what I'd say is that, like, I remember reading an article a while ago, and it said it was an internal memo from, I think, Reed Hastings from Netflix, and he said their biggest competitor wasn't other TV shows, other programs, it was sleep. Yeah?
Right.
So the user saying, I'm going to bed now, they want you to keep watching more and watching more and watching more. So now, clearly, that's shifted somewhat, because the biggest competitor is possibly social media.
Second screens.
And people aren't off them. And also, it's how do, people digest, if you're doing a little snippet for, a reel, it's 30 seconds. So people's brains are broken down into 30 seconds, and it's doom scrolling. So how do they follow a plot that lasts, I don't know, Stranger Things is, 6 episodes of an hour, let's say.
Yeah.
How do they follow a plot when their brain's wired to get bored after 45 seconds? I don't know. And I'm not mocking the younger generation. I mean, just anybody who's on social media, we're all programmed to, get sucked into that pipe,
Yeah, there are some really good programs that are getting cancelled because people are switching off because it's too hard to follow.
Yeah.
Maybe the era of plot twists and whodunits and that, they're all coming to an end because people don't have the attention.
You have to say it up front because no one can be asked. It's like, he did it.
He did it.
If you're under 25, don't watch The Usual Suspect.
Yeah.
It's mad. Like you have to reverse the film, put the ending at the front, and then if people want to watch the plot, they can just carry on. I don't know. I think it's crazy. You see a huge difference markedly with my kids. I was trying to explain to Alex the other day that he wasn't having any of it, but I was trying to explain to him that Die Hard is a Christmas film, and he will like it.
There's a Christmas tree in it, therefore it is a Christmas film.
And because of that, Rambo 1 is a Christmas film. because
there's a Christmas tree in that.
There's a Christmas tree in that, and
in the corner of the jail when
exactly.
They lock him up.
Yeah, he went. He was travelling back for Christmas. So
have you? By the way, have you had a compulsion to open all the windows in the house and ride round after watching?
No.
And say you're weak.
No, I'm pretty safe what I'm doing
Through the window.
I do lots of other stupid things, so I haven't done that yet.
If you haven't seen the film, it will make no reference to you at all, Ben.
But no, I'm trying to watch more movies in general and also like I only watch like when I'm working, if I'm really heavy into a project, I will watch things that I've already watched. Yeah, because it's easy. I like things in the background. I can just sort of like look up every now and then. Again, it's probably that dual screen thing, but I'm looking up, but I know the plot. Like, so when I'm working, I'm doing heavy projects, I'll watch something like Homeland or Sopranos again or The Godfather or something, because it's just easy. Godfather, I take it out every Christmas. But it is one of those things. A really underrated film is Casino.
Brilliant film.
Absolutely love that film. Donnie Brasco's great. There's a theme going here. They're all just great films, the extended version of Donnie Brasco is really good as well. But enough about films. But it is Christmas, so I do watch lots of films over Christmas. And
A Wonderful Life. Are you?
No, I haven't. I've got it on. I've got it on my server, but I haven't watched it.
Wizard of Oz with Pink Floyd tied into it,
No.
You guys, you guys are so smart, so intelligent.
Why?
Like, I'm
you
like,
said why?
I'm just
hide it well.
I'm just listening to the films that you guys watch. I'm like Weird Science.
Yeah, Weird Science is great. Weird Science is great.
Anything with tits.
Anything with tits.
No.
To be fair, the two films that you mentioned.
Okay, shall we move on?
Oh,
Kelly LeBrock and Weird Science.
Yeah.
That's what it is, isn't it? Memories of teen.
Moving on. Come on, guys.
So,
let's keep on track
I
here.
had a weird week last week, guys. And that noise, that was Mark opening a bottle, by the way, just in case anybody wonders what that was.
I'm thirsty.
Yeah.
I've got cotton mouth.
Last week, it was our... we had the Black Friday deal going. It was a big week, and there was a lot going on, but we noticed some weird activity with our banking. And so on Thursday, every Thursday, I get a message from Ryan in accounts, and he basically says, can you approve all the payments? I look at all the payments, approve them all, and off they go. And it's an app that we use. It's called Bankline instead of online banking, and you have to approve it all, biometrics and all that, and it sends it. But I remember roughly everybody's name on the list who needed to get paid, and it was weird because it got done, and the next day someone mentions to me, "Oh, another side funny story. I drove into the shutters at work with the forklift truck." Yeah. So
well done.
Exactly. It was one of those moments that everybody on the farm heard me shout, for fuck's sake. Like, I mean, the farmer next door to our farm came over to see what had happened because I drove into the shutters. So they didn't hear the bang, but they heard me scream at the top of my voice, for fuck's sake. Because that was £1,000.
Everybody saw a big black exclamation mark floating over the Midlands.
But it was £1,000 to fix. I knew instantly, like, in that one split second, it was £1,000. So anyway, I got a message saying that the people from the shutters hadn't got paid, but I remember approving the payment. But then we noticed that we got other emails saying this hadn't been paid, that hadn't been paid. But it was Friday. It was too much going on. So it was Black Friday. It was just too much going on. So we just left it. And then Monday we got confirmation that a few others. So I went into the app again and I said to Ryan, send them again. We'll do it. At no point is there any error messages anywhere. Nothing. So we do it again and they all fail again. So we're thinking, what the hell is going on here? Our business manager then rings us and says, "Oh, do you know why I'm ringing you?" I said, "No, but I was going to ring you." And he goes, "Why?" I said, "Well, none of our payments are going through." And he goes, he says, "Oh, yeah, that's why I'm ringing you." He goes, "Your account's been put on stop. Our whole account that we trade with has been put on stop." And he goes, "Oh, have you heard about these anti-money laundering laws and know your customer laws?" And I was like, "Yeah, we filled all that crap out. It's called the business profile." He goes, "Oh, well, it looks like you haven't filled it in." I said, "No, we definitely filled it in." I said, "I know 100% we filled it in. It took us ages, a load of crap." And so we did that. He goes, "Right, let me get in touch with the right people." I said, "Well, look, people need to get paid. You know, there's like loads of money going out." Like I said, obviously money's going to come in that we can't touch, but we can't pay anybody either. So he puts us in touch with somebody in the department that actually verify that someone had pressed the wrong button. They'd switched off our profile, our account, or paused it, however you want to call it, froze it. They pressed the wrong button, but they can't release it until we answer some more questions. So it took us 3 tries and 3 days to get for this analyst to come to us. So day 1, we'll go through all the security questions. All right, we'll get an analyst to call you. I'm thinking, well, I thought we did this already. Day 2, we go through all these questions. I thought, great. We thought we'd done it. Can we open the account? No, not yet. I'm like, my God. Day 3, we do it. She goes, oh, have you got a different trading address? I said, yeah, it's our farm where we are. She's like, yeah, that was it. That was it. They closed our account because they noticed we were working from a different address that is listed on all our documents.
I can beat that.
Oh, I know you can.
I can beat that. My story's even better than that.
Go on then.
But I don't want to be that mate. When you've got a hurty arm, I've got a broken leg.
It's fine. I'll fix it. It's fine.
Topper.
Right. So there's something that you have to do with Companies House every year if you're a limited company called a confirmation statement.
Yeah.
Takes about 5 minutes, costs about 35 quid to do. It is just a belt and braces paper exercise that was brought about because of anti-money laundering rules and regulations.
Thing,
yeah, similar thing. I got a reminder that I'd not done my confirmation statement for my development company, where I happen to hold a little bit of land. It's an asset-rich company. Trading-wise, we don't do much. Every now and again we sell something or we buy something, so there's not a lot of work for my accountant to do on that. But I did message my accountant and said, confirmation statement, got a reminder, it's got to be done within 2 weeks. And then he went on holiday and he forgot to do it. And he did hold his hands up when I messaged him, but he was back off holiday. I went to move some money from the development account, and the account was gone from my online banking. I thought, that's a bit weird. So I rang up Barclays. I said, my bank account doesn't appear to be on my online banking anymore. And they said, oh no, Companies House has struck off your company and seized the assets. We've closed the bank account. I said, well, you didn't even tell me. Oh no, regulations, we're not required to tell you. So the first I knew about it was after the act. So they were really helpful at Barclays. They gave me a phone number. Cool. So
It's an answer phone.
I rang up Companies House and they said, the money and all of the assets that were in your company now belong to the Crown. I said, what? Nice. The Crown, as in the King? It's like, yeah. So I lost 9 building plots, a 4-bedroom house, a parcel of land that used to be council garage blocks, and £12,500. And I had to apply to the Crown to have it back. Obviously, that caused me quite a bit of distress, and it's taken me so far 3 months to get. I've got the land back, I've got the house back, I've got the garage blocks back. I had to reopen a bank account because Barclays wouldn't reinstate my old bank account, so I had to open a new one, which was a 100-mile round trip just to find the nearest branch. But I haven't got the cash back yet. When
you say cash, you mean like money or cash? Like
there was 12,500 in the bank, just sat there.
Not dodgy cash.
Yeah, not as in sheets, as in liquid funds. Let's call it liquid funds. But it has aged me. They won't accept. You can't pay the fees digitally. You have to send it postal orders. The fees to get everything reinstated was over £1,000. A postal order only goes up to 250 quid.
It does sound slightly different. Sorry to interject though. It does sound like your situation might have progressed in the background a lot more than what mine did. To them to gazette you and all of that though.
I missed a reminder.
Nah, it can't be one reminder. There must have been a few that you missed.
I don't believe there was. I looked into it, and this is happening a lot. It's just a stealth tax. It's just
just take it when you're not looking.
Well, no, it's the fees. It's the fees to have it all reinstated. It's just flexing. They're just flexing.
It feels like leaving money around my mum. I remember once I lived with them, I had like a month's worth of wages, and I put it on the table to go bank it. And I only walked into the other room, and I came back.
It's gone.
And it's gone. And I'm looking at it, and it feels like that you turned your back for a moment.
Nobody voted in any government to give them this power and to give other departments this power. I did not know that Companies House had the power to strike off your business and seize all your assets.
They have the power to do that, though, but they don't have the power to do this to like real dishonest traders.
Yeah, that's another tin of worms, isn't it? Yeah. So that happened. And I'm still going through that at the moment. It's not.
Two things to take away from that. The first thing is, Stel, when you put money into a bank, it's not your money.
Yeah.
It's the bank's money. At that point, it's the bank's money.
Yeah. Read the small print.
To do which, hold on,
no,
just
I get
let me
that.
finish. To do with what they think. Yeah. So if that bank tomorrow closes shop, you are the last in line for credit.
But as a business, how do you trade without a bank account?
Well, you don't.
Well,
they don't care.
You're locked in then, aren't you?
It's not their problem.
No, but it's also, what I'm saying is, it isn't their problem. I get that, but you've got no choice either.
No, you haven't.
You know,
but
no one can build a business without having a bank account.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the whole veneer of freedoms when you start peeling the veil back and you start realising that you actually don't own your own property because we live in a monarchy. And ultimately, the authority is the crown.
Yeah.
And you don't fill a form in twice. They'll take everything off the crown. Then you've got to ask for it back. So do you have property rights? No, because the crown's taking your property through some bullshit means. And when you put money into your bank, into your money into their bank, it is not your money.
Yeah.
And that's a whole massive conversation you have to have about, the society in which we live.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a weird one. Because you can't trade without a bank account. You just can't.
Yeah, they don't care.
No, I get that they don't care.
Why do you think they care?
And it's by design, it suits them. But what I'm saying is, forget their leverage, forget their whether they care or don't care. You have no choice. If you choose to have a business, you have no choice, which puts you in a pickle.
I'm still trying to get the money back now. And when I applied for it, they said to me, most people give up. And I said, what do you mean most people give up? They said, it's very hard to get the money back from the crown. So although I've got all the property back, I'm still, my arse is hanging out by 12.5 grand.
Prince Andrew needs his new house refurbing. So let's just make sure it's gone to a good home.
I said to them, most people might be able to afford to just turn it back on 12.5 grand, but I'm not most people. I'm like I won't give up.
No, keep going.
He'll come with a broken glass for a penny.
You know me, don't you?
So before we go, just to lighten the mood a little bit. There was a story, and it was a while ago, but a friend of mine had a shop in Golders Green, and he used to glue 50p coins to the pavement outside to see who picked them up. Suffice to say, the shop wasn't very busy, so he had a lot of time on his hands. And this was in the 80s and 90s. And he said it was just hilarious. But yeah, I just thought I'd never do that because I'm not like that. I'm a good person.
But listen, there's a at the end of the day, you are operating in their system.
Yeah.
But we're operating in somebody else's system all day long. We haven't got a choice.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, if that was all the money that I had, the wheels would have fallen off my business totally.
Yeah, but this is the thing. We think that government is there to look after us, and it's not.
No.
The government's there to perpetuate government. Yeah, that's it. Well, you think you have rights, and you think you're important in your own way.
We have some rights.
You're a number and a ledger.
We have no rights. We're slaves.
We have no rights.
We're not. Get lost.
Stop working tomorrow. And how long are you going to last?
I don't know. A lot of people seem to manage all right doing that. Anyway, moving on. Talking of government.
You've got debts.
Yeah. Talking of...
You've got something.
Yeah. Talking of government, I wrote an article, I think it was last week or the week before, and this will feel a bit read the newsy, but it's not meant to be. But just to give people that are listening the premise of what I wrote about, the title was, Is Hoping for Government Help Holding Your Business Back? And the premise was essentially... in business, especially our business, we obsess over VAT cuts or waiting for government rescue. Is it a strategic... Well, it's not strategic. Is it a distraction should we be focusing on building our businesses or digging ourselves out of the mess that we're in, rather than waiting for the government to come and say, here you go, here's help. Mark's got his hand up. Go on, mate.
I just want to congratulate you on writing that, because it was a very brave thing to write, because it was a sort of subject that really polarises opinions. People very much go one way or the other, and I applaud you for writing it, because when you're in the position where you've got a business that supplies the whole industry, that you're always in danger when you put an article like that out of upsetting people, and I don't think that was your intention at all. It was a great. It created a really good debate.
Well, the intention was inside the article, but most people don't really read it. The point I'm saying is, if I was to boil it down, is focus on your own business. If government come with support, it's a bonus.
Hoping for help isn't a plan.
Yeah, exactly. Hope isn't a business plan. So sitting there saying. And one thing I mentioned was, and I tied it back into a Read the News a podcast that I did with David, which was, most people say I need a VAT cut because fish is expensive, which tells me the reason why they want a VAT cut isn't that isn't the reason. It's because fish prices are high. So should the focus of industry be aimed at the fish vessel owners, cod and haddock vessel owners in all those countries, saying, sort this out? We can't tolerate this, but instead the vitriol is aimed at MPs and stuff, saying we need a VAT cut. And I'm not defending MPs. I'm just saying that we're asking for one thing because of another thing, and while we're arguing about this, no one's actually focusing on their business. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think.
Look, you said to me privately you'd like a VAT cut. Like, who wouldn't? But you're still focusing on your business, aren't you?
Yeah. I think there are levels to where you have to put your energy and your focus. And while there are national issues that need consideration because they do affect your business, it can't be part of your plan. Your plan has to be heavily focused on your own challenges, your own fixed overheads, your own costs, your own. Your own business model. When I train people, I don't try to make people clones of me. I try to empower them with confidence and knowledge so they can be the best versions of themselves. And I think when it comes to planning your business, you have to take a view based on your own set of circumstances. And I think you highlighted that very eloquently in the article that you wrote. It'd be arrogant of me to go into somebody's shop and tell them how to do it. But what I can do is go into their shop and share my experiences and share my knowledge and help them be a better version of themselves through that. So and again, I think what you did with your article wasn't telling people how to do it or what to do, but to actually to distill it down to what's happening in your own business, rather than thinking about the national issues that solving the national problems will have an effect, but it can't be your plan. It can't be.
David, what do you think, mate?
Yeah, it was a brave move. Anything that polarises people, I know about that a little bit. And we'll not go there just yet. There's no one coming to help us, and that's it. You have to. Your problems are your own. And I get people wanting a VAT cut because we're having to push prices, further and further because fish is becoming more and more expensive. And then if you are pricing it as opposed to by calculators as opposed to by guess, then you're going to work your net price out plus your VAT. So the VAT amplifies the final cost of the product at the end of the day. So I get why people want it, but it's like sat on the Titanic with a hole in it and saying, someone should fix that. Perhaps you should, sort yourself out near a lifeboat. No, I'll just stand here and wait. I'll just complain. We'll have a meeting about who's going to come and patch that hole up. The problem we've got is we've got a massive amount of debt in this country. We've got a huge workforce that's not working, and someone's going to pay for it. And there's no way with that background and the amount of debt and the amount of issues that we sort of walking into, that they're going to turn around and say, go on, have a few billion back into the hospitality industry. It's not going to happen anytime soon.
Thing is, and it's what I mentioned to you, David, on the podcast, on the Read the News. Oh, the news review. I keep saying it wrong. I'm going to change it back at this point.
Let's call it Read the News.
Yeah. If cod was £200 for a 45-pounder, if it was 190, 180, would anybody collectively be screaming that we need a back
I don't
cut?
think so. Because at the end of the day, that £200 fish means that, a 9-ounce piece of fish would be, whatever, 8 quid odd.
Yeah. Which
net, inclusive VAT, as opposed to like where it is now, around 10 quid. Something,
which tells
with
me
VAT.
we have a fish problem.
We have a fish problem.
Yeah, not that anybody needs that telling. What I mean is that, so why are we putting, are we putting out the wrong fire here? Are we trying to put out the wrong fire here?
The narrative that I get from my fish merchants and when I speak to people in that industry is that it's a global market, and to get that fish, we have to be competitive. And, the Norwegian and the Icelandic fishing industry have got a phenomenal advocate. I'm not going to say who it is.
How many?
To tell us how cheap fish relatively should be, and it could be a lot more expensive. So if only the industry had an advocate for us, that was as good as advocating for expensive fish.
Well, many people have written to their local MP. Many people have emailed their local MP. How many people have said and I'm not about the fish merchants. I'm not talking about the likes of Smales or Warners. I'm talking about the vessel owners. How many people have sent a letter or email to the vessel owner saying, we use your product, we like it, but what you're doing is really, we probably won't be able to carry on using this. We're going to have to, and I know they can look at that letter and go, who cares?
Let me just clarify that, because the narrative that we get, like I'll just sort of, reiterate what I've said, is that it's a global market. So if America are paying effectively 300 quid, equivalent or in dollars for a case of fish, then we're going to have to pay more to secure it. So are you saying that's a false narrative?
No, I'm saying that if that market applies, if that's the market rule that someone else wants that fish, that makes complete sense. Yeah. But when you're also hearing that the Americans have moved off frozen at sea cod and haddock, and then they're now using a lot of Alaskan and Canadian cod and haddock and other species, because Americans are not species. They're not overly bothered about species. They're not sticky like us. In the UK, we've got the big five. We've got cod, haddock, salmon, prawn, and tuna. In America, they'll eat anything. If it's white, they'll eat it.
Absolutely, yeah. I've seen the size.
But what I'm saying is, they're not bothered. So now they've shifted, their appetite shifted. Now, I fully admit that the Russian sanctions is put a massive strain on things, and it's given a lot of leverage to all the others, the Faroese, the Norwegians, and the Icelandics. I get it. But what I'm saying is, we're still... The hose is pointed at the wrong fire. Yeah,
I agree. I entirely agree.
And really, if everybody in the industry sent a letter, and again, as fruitless as it may be, if everybody started shouting that way and saying, you guys carry on, we'll find something else, then
I actually think instead of sending a letter, the industry should unite and make a decision collectively to boycott cod.
Yeah, but cod's... We're going to get onto that, but cod's a premium product because cod's a premium product. I don't think you boycott cod. It's like saying boycott Rolls Royce or boycott... if people have got the money and they want to spend it, they should. I think there is a reason, and we're going to get onto it, but there is a reason why cod costs what it costs, in my opinion. And
it's bloody good.
It is good. It is a good product. Mm-hmm. So for me, though, I just feel like, the reason for that article was, and it's not a new thing, by the way. It's not a new thing that we always go on about VAT. The industry was going on about it when I was writing Fish and Chips and Fast Food in year 2006 and 7. But it always comes in peaks when fish is expensive or potatoes are expensive. And again, when the potatoes were expensive, you get the odd comment that says farmers are scalping us. But then it always comes, we need a VAT cut because potatoes are expensive. The government don't work like that. They don't, it's not their job to basically use, when I had Les Howard on the podcast talking about VAT, he says people want government to use VAT that benefits business, but it's a consumer tax. And I think government are not going to break ranks in changing the way they think about VAT. It's just that's the way they think about it.
And there's too much money coming in.
And there's too much money coming in. Oh, and in an air rise, probably not enough. Too much from our point of view.
Well, I mean, they of the opinion they probably only get half.
How do you mean, sorry? Oh, that they lose half from...
I was talking to a tax inspector years ago and said if everybody paid their way, it'd be about 10%.
Yeah.
But they know that they're only going to get half. So the people that do pay, the people that are honest, end up paying
I wonder
more.
if that's changed over the years, post-COVID.
That may well have been.
Because
that was a good.
I wonder, post-COVID, you've got credit card, debit cards, aggregators. You know.
I mean, there's nowhere to bloody hide now, is there?
Yeah.
I mean, if you put... we've had this an old argument, but you put cash only above your door, I think you're just inviting trouble. It's just a big sign saying, can you please inspect me at some point, please?
Yeah, at some point. It'd take ages now in our government. But anyway,
well, AI is coming.
So, Mark, you thought, your premise, you had a topic that you wanted to bring up, and it sort of ties into this.
It does, yeah.
So, go on, explain your premise, your
okay,
argument.
So, I think that we are in the midst of a generational shift. I've been doing this, like, this is my 40th year in my own shop. I should have made my money and got out by now, shouldn't I? Really?
You've made lots of money and stayed in, that's why.
I don't have the strength to argue or give a good enough argument. But over the years, when you're the first generation, you're a child, and then you become a parent, and then you become a grandparent, and this process, the circle of life, it happens every sort of 25, 30 years. We have a generational shift, and we move on, and we have an ageing customer base who love their cod and chips, and I've maybe it's because I'm approaching my 40-year anniversary. It's made me look back and become reflective, and I remember when we were worried about a burger generation, and how we can get children back into fish and chip shops, and a lot of my marketing sort of 25 years ago was adding things to my menu to compete with the likes of McDonald's and KFC, and we seem to have got way past that, but the more mature listener who's been around a bit will probably remember those days. I think we're at a point now where when I said about boycotting cod just a few minutes ago, maybe boycotting isn't the right word. I think maybe we have to accept that in its current format, fish and chips will always carry on, but maybe cod and chips has had its day. Maybe cod has had its chips, and it no longer deserves a place on our menu, because the mandate for fish and chips, let us all remember, is about being affordable food for the masses. That's where fish and chips thrives. Some Michelin-starred chefs have tried to take fish and chips and elevate it to an elite status. And it does belong there, but it thrives in an environment where it's affordable, where everybody can have fish and chips, and it's a treat on a budget. It should be a really great value meal, and cod and chips. It's hard for an operator to do cod and chips at a price that everybody can afford, and. Yeah, so
I don't know, if I'm honest. We discussed this on the phone, and you said, I want to talk about it, and I said I disagree, but go ahead, obviously.
Yeah, well, I just wonder if everybody stopped selling cod, and we all made the shift, it wouldn't be a hard pill for everyone to swallow, because within a month, and this comes down to habit, within a month of everybody eating saithe, or everybody eating hake, or everybody eating pollock, cod would just be a distant memory, and it would be something that you would pick when you went to a restaurant because because a restaurant can get away with charging the right price for cod. All the time we keep dancing around it and keep trying to keep it on our menu. We're actually making it's a harder plaster to rip off. I think if everybody could say, right, look, cod's had its day in a fish and chip shop. It's now fish and chips. That's what we're selling here. It's not about cod and chips. I know a national award winner who sold 5 to 8 cod all his fish frying career and has just moved over to fresh haddocks. He's made the decision. He can't keep that. I mean, he's a really, really good operator. A lot of people go to him for training, for advice, and he's made the decision to move to haddock, and that's because he can't protect that margin. He can't sell it at a price. He knows his market. He knows his community. He knows what they will pay.
I don't know who it is, but he's moved to another premium product that is going to fluctuate. So what happens when it fluctuates? And because fresh haddock does fluctuate massively, because the quotas are so much smaller, the catches are smaller. So what happens when it fluctuates 40 quid a stone? Right? How's he protecting his margin there?
I think he recognises that he can't keep going the way that cod is going, and that with the haddock, some weeks he's going to make more, some weeks he's going to make less, and it's going to level out.
But could this person have just jumped out the frying pan into the fire?
Possibly. I don't think he has, because he's not alone. I know other people that are doing it too, that have switched from cod to haddock. But I think
to switch back is what I'm saying. He's not.
I don't think he will. I think he's going to end up going from haddock to something else further down the line.
Possibly. But what I'm saying is he's going to have to switch again. He may not have to switch back to that exactly. But what I'm saying is, it all depends what the goal is here. If his goal is to give himself more flexibility down the line and be happy to move around to different species, that's fine. What I'm saying is he can't stay on fresh haddock because fresh haddock fluctuates more than frozen at sea cod. It's a no. Anybody listen to this that buys fresh haddock daily knows that.
I get that.
You could buy, I don't know, it was fives. Let's say it's 80 quid for 40 count. I'm just guessing here, guys, because I don't buy fish daily. But let's say it's 80 quid for 40 count today. Tomorrow it could be 90 quid. Friday it could be 120 quid. Back to Monday it could be 80 quid. Like that, what I'm just getting at is, I'm not saying your friend's wrong, the person you respect. What I'm saying is that he's moved over to, just naturally, he's moved over to something that fluctuates more. That's what I'm saying. So
and the quality fluctuates more too.
Yeah, and he might be happy there. That's absolutely fine. I'm not knocking his judgment. What I'm saying is, though, I don't really understand how he's like, if we move over to like. This is where a larger food brand would be different. They would move over to something that allows them to hedge their prices for 3 months or 3 years, not have a fluctuating price daily.
I think he's looked at it for quite a while before he's made the jump, and he's worked out that even with a fluctuating market, he's significantly better off. But I think that what that will end up doing is putting pressure on haddock, and then he's going to be faced with the same situation where he's going to have to move to a more affordable species again. But at least he's got past the cod issue, and at the moment, we're not at the top of the mountain on cod prices yet, not by a long stretch. And again, when from the previous conversation just a few minutes ago, hoping that it's going to get better is not a plan.
No, but you need a plan aimed at the right cause, because going on to something just as not abundant, actually, because it's just the same problem, in actual fact, there's less haddock to go about. So yeah, I don't think that's the best answer for that problem. It fixes another problem, but it creates other issues, and I think that's what I'm saying. I think if you wanted to go on something, you'd find the most stable product that isn't moving around, that's hedged well, and fresh haddock is the least hedged well product. Fishermen literally dictate the price depending on weather, how much they caught, what was it like today, how much is at the market. Sometimes they don't price it until it gets back to market. How much cod is there? How much haddock is there? So whereas you don't want pricing that moves so frivolously. You want prices like, look at KFC. They know their chicken price for 3 years because there's only one of 3 things that change. It's energy costs, feed costs, and labour. So growing chicken, this is why everyone says, oh, chicken never moves up. It does. It just moves at a much slower pace.
You don't have to bloody hunt it.
You don't have to hunt it. Whereas a wild product, what I'm saying is he's moved over to a product, this guy, that is just as wild and fluctuates. I'm not knocking the guy. I just feel, in? Yes, of course. Yeah.
Well, we've just priced it and let the market decide. So we've always sold cod, we've always sold haddock. Haddock is now priced significantly cheaper than cod. We've put saithe on the menu. We've only bought a little bit. We're only cutting a little bit each day. If it doesn't sell, it probably end up in the fish cakes, but that's that. We've priced it, and customers, if they want to come in and pay £15 for cod and chips, that's up to them. If they want a cheaper meal, go for haddock. If they want an even cheaper meal, go for saithe. You know, you can't turn around to your customers in a cod area and say, oh, today we're not selling cod, we're just selling haddock. They're going to say, well, I don't want haddock, I want cod, and I'll pay for it. So I don't think you can turn around to your customers in a free market and say, you today will be eating this, unless you just take the whole thing off the menu and say, it's fish and chips, you know, it's what I'm going to give you. In which case your customers are going to turn around and say, well, that fish that you served me last week that was cod was great, and the one that you served me today, not so good, it's safe, I don't want it. Let the market decide. And I think if the price is the price, let the market decide. If the customers kill cod, the customers kill cod.
And this is a 160-year-old industry, so I don't really get your point, Mark, of is it changing? Are the next generation... Like, imagine when all the hippies were knocking about in the 60s. Can you imagine those fish fries thinking, bloody hell, look what's going on out there, and they don't want fish and chips.
I should be selling LSD.
So do you think the price of cod's going to come back to a point where...
I think that it all hinges on pretty much one thing, and we want it to end for one reason and others want it to end for another reason, and that's the Ukraine-Russia war. If that finishes, I'm not trying to be optimistic, I want it to finish for their sake, but from our point of view, being selfish, that war finishes, no one's saying, oh, let's carry on punishing Russia. No, what happens is this. 3 months down the line, Germany folds first and says, we need gas. They start buying gas, and everybody else is like, they went first, and everyone starts buying gas, fish, fertilizer. The Ukrainians can start selling wheat back to Africa easily. Sunflower oil can start moving around again. What's happened is, because of that war, especially in the European areas, it's created a backfill. Nobody, you know, for example, you got to remember, Ukraine is the breadbasket of Africa, and Russia is the breadbasket of Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. So that's all backed up. It's massively backed up. That goes away. Gas is cheaper, fertilizer is cheaper, wheat can get around freer, and it just releases tension off the markets. Fish can go where it needs to go. So, and I think maybe that sounds optimistic or unrealistic, but the truth is that's probably what's going to happen a few months after, hopefully, getting some sort of ceasefire. But without that, I feel like we're just trundling along. And don't get me wrong, this is a minimal problem compared to the fact that people are actually dying. So I don't want people to think, oh, we care more about the fish. No, I mean, it is a meat grinder, yeah? There is people just going through on both sides, getting minced up here. Like, so, you know... So I think we have an intense short-term problem, and I mean short-term by a couple of years, 3 years, and it is intense. I don't want to make it sound like I don't care about fish prices. I bloody do. But I think that is the problem. And I think, you know, and talking about generational shifts, yesterday we took the kids to Evesham Valley train thingy so Nicholas can go see Santa, and went to they've got like a nice cafe there. And I had a roast, someone else had a ploughman's, Alex had fish and chips, you know, and I think you know, on Christmas Eve we're going to Noah's for fish and chips. My kids absolutely love fish and chips. We're in Bristol, so we're going Noah's. So I don't think it's a generational problem. I really don't. I think it's sometimes, and we're going to get onto this, but it's how we frame these problems. We as an industry internalize them and walk around with them wounded, and whereas other bit. Look at that. Beef prices are sky high. Burgers are still selling really well.
Yeah.
Why is that? And I know it's mince. I know it's mostly mince crap. I get it. Like a burger isn't going to be fillet steaks. I'm fully aware of that. But the whole wholesale price of beef has gone up hugely, and yet burgers are still doing really well. And I think sometimes our industry focuses too much on the species, the naming, and the pricing, whereas everyone else sells the story, sells the positivity, sells the taste, the flavour. And I think we get stuck. And I guess maybe it goes back to we're customer facing, we're at the coalface, and maybe there's some of that going on as well.
A tremendous legacy.
Yeah, a tremendous legacy. Yeah, that talking of Titanic analogy, it is trying to turn something like that. You can't just turn it on a whim. When you've got that sort of legacy, it's like a train that's 10 miles long, like one of those ones that you see in Australia or America. You can't just put the brakes on and hope that it stops. It's going to take a while because it's got its own momentum. And I think sometimes our industry just carries on, and sometimes it carries on through, and we don't realise it carries on. It's that long, the legacy, is that sometimes after the problem's gone, we're still going on about the problem, but we're doing better from it. So, for example, like we said earlier, if fish prices were to come down right now to $1.90 a case, and I'm just picking a figure out here, fish merchants, I'm not trying to mess the market up here.
Are you not having a psychic moment?
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. But I'm just saying, if it did, then how happy would fish and chip shop owners be, because their prices are baked in for $2.90, $300?
I'd be as happy as a cow in a McDonald's grinder.
No, you wouldn't.
That's very happy.
Yeah,
very happy.
I'm not concerned about fish and chips. I am concerned about how what goes into our fish and chips, and I do. I accept that maybe it's not a generational problem, but we have got a problem keeping cod on our menu and making money.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
I'm not disagreeing with that premise at all. Yeah. But again, are we have we got the wrong solution for the wrong problem? Like, are we trying to put a round peg in a square hole? And it's just it is just about framing, and I think we don't have these conversations sometimes.
I think all we can do as an industry is explain that these exogenous shocks to the price of commodities are not in our control. We're not profiteering. We have to pass the price on. However, there's an alternative species there if you want to try it. And I just don't think we can do anything other than just explain to people where we're at. Whether they listen or not is another matter.
I'm taking the same money, if not just a little bit more than I was taking last year, but I'm selling less fish and I've got less footfall. So the reason I'm taking the same money is because I've put my prices up 3 times.
Snap.
I'm not sad. I'm not sad that I'm not selling as much fish, because replacing that stock costs me so much money. And these are the I'm just being genuinely honest and open about what's happening in my in my business, and I'm concerned that that the way to combat that is to keep fish and chips affordable, but we can't do it with cod.
You can't. You have to use an alternate species and hope people jump.
I was at a fish and chip shop the other day. Good shop, busy. I won't say who it was, purely because we didn't say we were going to discuss it, so I'll cover that up. But they were doing a 6-ounce fish and chips, so 6-ounce fish and a scoop and a half of chips. I didn't weigh them, but what would we say that is? 10, 12 ounces, I guess. Yeah, I'm just guessing,
easily. And
that was $10.90 takeaway, and a friend of his was similar portion chips and 5.5 ounce cod, and I was thinking to myself, that's a nice size fish, it's not the fish size I'm used to in the Midlands, put it that way, and I do think that they're making decent margin. They were both very good shops, and the fish prices weren't over the top, as in the fish and chip prices weren't over the top. So it can still be done. And this is what goes back to that other article, which is basically saying, trim where you can. Look at your menu. Look at what you can do. How many people that still say to me, fish is unaffordable, but they're still serving a 10 to 12 ounce cod or haddock as their regular.
Can I just jump in as well? And if it's now a premium product, and it needs to be treated like a premium product. And when I drive past fish and chips or walk past fish and chip shops, and I see cod stacked or fish stacked up in the range, ready to go, I just
like a Greg's,
my heart
like
sinks.
Greg's,
It's just a, a tin of beans. It has to be respected and honoured and treated properly, because it has a fairly short shelf life at its premium. So we have to accept the fact that we have to be a little bit more careful than just chucking a fish in a pan and hoping for the best and throwing it on a plate, and people just will pay a premium for it. They won't, because there's other options out there that are better for your money. So if you're going to serve it, and we've had this conversation before, make sure it's bloody good.
It's anecdotal, but a few years ago, and this was before COVID, so it was a while ago, I went to a shop and he was buying 816 cod, skinless, boneless, and all he did when he defrosted it was, if it was at the top end 16s, let's say 14 to 16 or whatever, he put that in the large pile, and if it was nearer the 8, he put it in the small pile, and that's how he filtered his fish, large and medium or small. And I was saying to him, you can give like a near 16 ounce fish. Yeah, that's what our customers expect. And I'm thinking, when we have these problems, we blame everything else. We blame fish merchants. Well, I say we, collectively, the industry. We blame fish merchants, we blame vessel owners, but we also need to start taking some agency, and say, what are we doing wrong?
And as an industry, the first question when you were talking about people, it's got a good shop, it's turning over X amount a week. And that's the vanity of the industry. I'm turning over 20, 30 grand a week. What's your profit? They never tell you how much they're making. I mean, the old saying that turnover is vanity and profit is sanity. If it's not making profit, you might not be here in 2 or 3 years. Because everything's going up. We do our shopping online, and every time we put stuff in that basket, it's more expensive. Yeah. Food inflation is a real thing. Yeah. Despite the government saying, we're pro-growth and interest rates are coming down and, we're doing all this, the food prices are still going up everywhere. So to imagine that your supermarket shop's gone up, 7-8% this year, and fish and chips will stay static, it's not something that's going to happen.
I've just delisted a couple of things, taken them off my menu because I can't sell them and achieve what I need to achieve from them anymore. And I did the same. With pies. I took pies off my menu years ago because if I cooked 6 pies and sold 5, I made nothing. And if I cooked 2 of each, so I'd got 6 pies because I did 3 different types, and somebody came in and wanted 3 of one, and I'd only got 2 ready. It just there was no margin in it.
It's fair to say you can't be everything to everyone, and you can't afford to now. You can't.
I used to sell so much carrot cake. I used to sell so much of it, but now I was selling it for £4 for a slice of carrot cake. It was beautiful, but I was making really good margin on that. Carrot cake now costs me £4.5 a slice.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
It's I don't want to put
question mark.
Yeah.
What did you take off your menu? Do you mind sharing?
Yeah, no, I don't mind sharing. Carrot cake is the one was the one that automatically springs to mind. But yeah, I've
but it doesn't sound like
products that.
I was just going to say, that doesn't sound like a product to me that sounds like it deserves to live on anybody's menu for such a long time anyway. Like that No. What I mean is, it's one of those things that you could swap out for another cake. Like, it's cake. Is what I'm saying.
I've done that, but the thing is, I was making £3 a slice. It was a great add-on that there was no waste. It was just such an easy thing to add on, and people would just. I sold so much of it, and cheesecake as well. And I think if you listen back to podcasts of just a couple of years ago, I was banging on about how much money I was making off cheesecakes and stuff. But now, if people don't order them because they're trying to save money, or they do order them. I've got to shift them all, otherwise I don't make anything. And it's just another part of the evolution or the changing landscape that we're working in. Having add-ons on your menu, I've always been an advocate of that. If you can upsell something, but then when you start upselling something, you don't make any money on it. All you're doing is adding to your turnover, which okay, but it doesn't add to your profit. It doesn't add to your margin.
It gives you bragging rights when you're in a room, though, doesn't it?
But the good thing about an upsell, though, is that it goes with something else. If they come in and only buy that slice of cake, it's not the greatest margin in the world. If they came in and bought fish chips and peas twice and 2 slices of cake, all of a sudden that little bit of margin is free because you didn't have to do a lot for it. So I think there's a benefit there with add-on products and cross-selling and upselling. But again, it's got to fit on the menu. If it doesn't fit, it goes. And I think
check your invoices because things are going up and you're not being told about it. And you're not being told about it.
It's that stealth,
they don't tell you.
I have a spreadsheet that I track inputs with and I used to look at that once every 2 or 3 months just to give it a quick check, just to run through the price of stuff, and I'm now doing that regularly at the end of the month, just to make sure once we've got all the bills in that nothing's majorly moved, and things are moving. Yeah, you're right, Mark. Yeah,
so things are moving.
To segue into another similar topic, it's about fish, and I was on the phone with a customer the other day, and he was telling me about a friend of his who's got a very decent fish and chip shop, and he's lost a bit of trade, and they were talking about it, and they thought initially that it was because of the price of cod. But after a bit of analysis and talking to customers, this chap had figured out that it was actually not the fact that cod was expensive. It was the fact that the customers had not enjoyed any of the replacements that he'd put on the menu. He'd put coalface, he'd put pollock on, and they'd tried it. And they'd say it was nice when they tried it as a sample, or they'd buy it once when it's on the menu. But then they didn't sort of like it. But what strangely had happened is when they went in and had their normal fish and chips afterwards, and let's say it wasn't 10 out of 10 for whatever reason, they basically blamed him or accused him of serving the other fish as cod. And he said just the mere thought that he was serving those products alongside it, that customers were offended by it. And it made me think, me and this friend of mine started then talking about other issues. We were thinking, what's the way that this industry is mostly selling these species to customers? It's usually, it's cheaper than cod. Yeah. What does that tell people? Like, it reminds me.
It's inferior.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of that Volkswagen advert, where they're
reassuringly expensive,
where they're slamming the door all the time, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds like a Golf. Oh, it sounds just like a Golf." And every car, and I do wonder, like, what message are we saying to customers? Hey, I've got this pollock. Oh yeah, what's it like? It's cheaper than cod. Oh, okay. Can I just have cod, please? So, and then I was thinking, I tried to flip the script on its head, and then I was thinking about a customer of mine down south. And he's, as long as I've known him, and probably longer than that, but as long as I've known him, he's always served fresh hake, fresh rock. Mark, actually, we went to his...
It's lovely.
Yeah, shaved phrase. Was it hake you had that day we were there?
Beautiful.
And he's always had it on. But nowhere on the menu is he selling it as cheaper than whatever it is. I don't know. I don't even remember the price. But the point is, he was selling quality. He was selling it on quality. Try this because it's nice. It's from here. It's that. It's this. And I was thinking, have we got it wrong? Are we too busy trying to shove cheapness down customers' throats when really they want reassuringly good quality? Or do you know what I mean? Like, they're spending the tenner, they're spending the 12 quid. They want it to be good. Don't give them a reason to spend less, but they want it to be good. Go on, Mark.
So I've always had the idea that you should use your menu. Your menu should work for you. It shouldn't just tell people what the price of everything is. And I say that you should put more expensive things on your menu that you don't actually want to sell, because it puts the price of the thing that you want to sell into the middle of the mix. Well, maybe the solution to that is to make cod the thing that you actually don't want to sell. So you have that on your menu as at the price that it needs to be at to protect your margin, and then you just don't say that it's cheaper. You just use your menu to tell people that it's cheaper.
You could have cod in the middle and put turbot on top of it. You've never got turbot,
and then you've got things below that. But when you do that, will it sell?
Well, it doesn't matter. My dad had prawn cocktail on the menu for about 4 years. I'd be surprised if he ever fucking bought a prawn. Like, it never made it. We just kept saying we had a refit and he wanted to do it. And his intention was to do it, but it just became one of those things. Like, oh, you got any in there? It became a going joke with customers. Like, but it was above fish and above cod and haddock, and it was dearer, and because it was prawn, and prawns were expensive in the early 2000s, not like now. Like. So and I remember, Mark, you told me this story about ribs. You did ribs, and you just had a couple of stacks in the freezer, but they were dearer than cod. So I think really, if you really want to make cod look better value, is have something dearer above it. Yeah, that makes more sense to me. But actually, does this mean that when we have things that are cheaper under it, is the opposite happening? Are we making those products look too cheap, and then are we making cod look expensive? So again, it's the psychology that we're trying to understand here. People still have an appetite for cod and haddock. It's a premium product for good reason. So my concern is, are we taking our focus off serving great cod and haddock? Should we just say, you know what, we know it's expensive, but my goal should be serving great cod and haddock? I'm trying to think of someone like Brent. Yeah. I've not seen Brent for a little while, and I've not been there, ashamedly, and I should. But I can guarantee you right now, that he is not doing pollock and he is not doing all this other stuff. And I can guarantee if a customer came in and said something like, oh, cod's expensive, he'd just say something like, blame Putin or blame Keir Starmer. Or he'd deflect it almost very quickly and just be like, but it's good. Like, and do
you want it? Do you want it? Or you're just wasting my time.
In the nicest way.
In the nicest way.
But you'd eat it and be like, that were good. I didn't mind paying him the money, and go home. Are we giving people a reason to not want to pay the money? Yeah. Are we, and I think it's a problem that we have. It's a psychological problem. Are we making our problem as owners, not mine, you two, as an industry, are we making your problem the customer's problem?
I actually think that our problem isn't just the price of cod. Our problem is the amount of money that people have got in their pockets to spend.
Yeah, that's
as well.
Another problem.
That's a bigger part. We're giving people a reason to use us once a fortnight instead of once a week.
Yes, but that compounds the other issue, which is when they only have, let's say, 20 quid to spend.
Yeah.
And then it's mediocre. It doesn't taste very good. Or someone's gave me pollock instead of fucking cod. We then gave them a reason to not spend it. Yeah. So then we've made it.
It's a slippery slope.
It's a slippery slope, is what I'm saying. So, I don't know. So it made me then think. Yeah. It made me really think. Like, how would a marketer sell new species of fish? And I sort of started having like 3 different ideas. And one is, we need to reframe the conversation so new fish never feels like a fallback or a downgrade. You don't call it an alternative to cod or cheaper fish, which is what we do. You should describe it as its own positive choice. So, for example, lighter, sweeter, flakier, crispier, with a cleaner, less oily finish. You can't say that if it's salmon, obviously. Because customers, and this is the key thing when it comes to psychology with customers, they are more sensitive to the perceived loss than they are to the promised gain. So that tells me everything about a fish and chip shop customer. That they don't want to take the risk to have something new that may taste better, but will actually probably taste worse. They just want cod and haddock. Yeah, if you're in West Yorkshire, they want haddock. And if you're in nearly everywhere else, they want cod. Yeah, or if you're in Scotland, they want fresh haddock. But what I'm getting at is, customers measure losses more than they do gains. And I think it's so interesting to think of that. And then I was thinking, we need to sort of frame it as a guest fish. Again, a bit like your cheesecake. Why does it live on the full-time menu? It needs to live on a menu that changes often. And I was thinking, so like Fred with his when he's got fresh price or fresh hake or whatever it is, it lives on the specials menu. It never lives on the full menu, from what I can tell. Although I've got him on the podcast soon, so I'll probably press him on that. And so, have something like a guest fish of the month or week, Captain's Catch Week, so customers feel like they're trying something that is a limited feature rather than a permanent switch. It's low risk, limited treat, and it's not a permanent commitment. We're asking them to make a whole lifestyle change because fish is expensive for you. Like, just tell them the truth. They're grown-ups. Just say, look, fish is expensive. It is what it is. Like, but I promise I'm going to keep making it great for you. And again, I think here's the other thing. As an industry, we talk too technically, yeah? So we start acting like fish merchants. We start talking about Latin labels, sustainability lectures. No, just keep it in customers' language. Like, it tastes great. That's it. Like,
On my website, I've described saithe as a very tasty alternative to cod and haddock. I've not said it's cheaper. I've not gone into detail. It's a very tasty alternative, and that's it. You've got to keep it simple.
And I know it's
positive. They buy it.
And as positive as you've been, I have seen negative comments on your thread, and you're trying to deal with them in the nicest way possible.
Yeah,
and yet you've got.
I mean, it's when people are using sort of broken English and and peeps instead of people. Peeps don't want that, and it's like, I'm struggling with this one.
Yeah,
but you put it on there, and But people are negative, mate.
Yeah, no, they
especially
are because
on social media.
But they are, and the people that tend to comment are negatively minded anyway. No one really raves about anything good now. It's always it's clickbait, rage bait, outrage. But what I'm getting at is that, like, again, what's happening there is that people are focusing on the perceived loss. And what they really think, and I've seen this before because it's happened to me in the chip shop, when you serve a bad portion of chips, and it happens to us all, what do they say? What's the first thing they say? There must have been lunchtimes reheated. They have a negative mindset. They don't think Stel was having a bad day, the spud guy probably didn't do a good job, or the potato merchant gave them crap potatoes, or they knew potatoes, or whatever. They don't think like that. They're not rational. They think he's done me over. Yeah? So when you then give them a fish like this, they just think their head's like, well, it's cheap for a reason, number one, and if they can, they'll serve it me when I'm not looking.
Well, this is exactly what we had. Somebody said, I hope you're not sliding it on or something. It's like, no, it's an alternative. It's clearly species marked. It's separate. We're not replacing anything. It's an extra addition on the menu to provide a bit of flexibility for people. Just try it. If you don't like it, if it sells, it stays. If it doesn't sell, it goes. We're just giving you an alternative. Couldn't care if I don't sell one.
Yeah.
But when somebody comes in and says, "Oh, your cod's expensive," we'll have some haddock. Your haddock's expensive. We'll have some saithe. I don't want that. And they end up having cod or haddock. You know what I mean? It disarms the customers and the fact that, look, this is that's expensive because it's expensive, not because we've made it expensive. It's expensive, more expensive to buy in. This is cheaper to buy in. I'll sell it at a cheaper price. We're still making good margin.
So I wonder if we go back to what Mark used to do then. Do you have something more expensive above cod on the menu that, let's say cod's a tenner. Like, do you have something else there that's 14 quid? Just to...
Knowing my bloody luck, people would start ordering it. I've got them.
Well, just make sure your margin's good on it, obviously. But have a fillet of salmon that's breaded or something, and if it's 13 quid compared to cod, which is a tenner, if they try it, make sure your margin's right, obviously, or just never have it in the freezer either. I mean, we might get done for trading standards there, but
Why don't we invite the listener to put in some comments?
You mean after me writing that article and everyone basically calling me a twat, you want them to now message us about the podcast saying Stel's a twat? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I think if all you get is twat, I think you're.
I'm sure I got. I was going to say there was the other 4-letter word that begins with C that I was probably called, to be honest.
Cock.
Let's see if we can get as many people as possible to call you a twat.
I think there might be some engagement there. But look, for me, like, I think we've got to give this some thought. And the problem is, in our industry, we don't really give it some thought. And I think it goes back to that BRS, yeah? And it's behind the range syndrome. We stand behind our ranges and we think we know everything. And we think what our customers will eat and what they won't eat. We've came to all these conclusions before we've done anything. And I think, whereas really, we need to be figuring out what is it that customers want. And what I'm seeing is that customers are happy. Yes, they have got less money to spend, Mark. I get that.
Yeah.
But what they really want, they want as much bang for their buck. And that doesn't mean volume either. It doesn't mean they want to walk out with a quadruple. Well, some people will. Some people want a quad stack burger with cheese. That's fine. But what I'm saying is, when you're seeing Five Guys still growing, not a cheap burger. I'm not even on about the Golden Arches and your bottom end KFCs. You've got Popeyes. You've got all of these chicken brands, Chick-fil-A. Why are they starting to grow? All of these independent burger businesses, independent chicken shops that are all perceived better value or tastier but more expensive. Why are they doing well? And that tells me that people probably do have the appetite to spend more on fish and chips, but it has to be bloody good. It has to be tasty, yeah. Has to be crispy. If it's none of those things, and it's like what David said, walking past the shop and it's stacked up like Greg's sausage rolls, don't expect to get top dollar for it. Because if you're treating it like a product that's being stacked high, then don't expect customers to think of it differently either.
Yeah. We have this debate over the very large, the organisations that have got £2.5 billion worth of capital behind them. We don't have that as an industry. The Bain Venture Capital, Bain Venture Capital are involved in. Is it Five Guys?
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, 29 billion they've got, and they are not poor. Their business plan can be, a 10-year business plan. If it doesn't make money in 10 years, well, it doesn't matter. There's another billionaire. Yeah, we tried. So I don't know because their data's not coming in, like our data is by the week. You get to see what happens to that company in a year's time or 2 years' time when the final accounts are put to the stock exchange or not, because they're private companies. So you'll never know. You say, "Oh yeah, we're selling more burgers. Are you making money?" I mean, it was Gales Baker at Bain Capital.
Yeah,
expanding, and the losses are getting bigger.
Yeah, but their market,
their operating losses.
Yes, they are, but they're looking at growth as their way out of this. So when they're out,
right.
And this is behind them, they've grown.
Yeah.
Whereas
that's because there's $1 billion venture
absolutely, but that doesn't bring
it.
Customers in. That helps them do all the infrastructure. But it doesn't drag customers through the door because they're not offering discounts to customers to get through the door. What have they still focused on? Quality. High. You go to Gales and it's 7-8 quid for a loaf of bread to take home.
Yeah, but we're not comparing apples and oranges.
No, we're not. Absolutely not.
Well, so we are comparing apples with oranges.
No, we are comparing different things. But I think it's easy to say they've got lots of funding. What that means is that they can weather more storms and grow.
That's right.
They can find premium sites and so on. I get that.
And they're not at the mercy of an international war. And
well, they are to some degree because if you're a bakery, the fact is that if you're a bakery, you don't rely on British flour as much. You rely on foreign wheat, German wheat. You rely on Canadian wheat. That's all going to be a lot more expensive. What I'm getting at is, though, the funding issue is all back end. It greases the wheels at the back end, but it doesn't force customers through the door. The one thing, if we use Gales as an example, because you touched on that, they've carried on focusing on amazing quality, great service, and those customers who, to be fair, we probably look at them and think, well, I bet they're loaded, they don't feel the pinch. But actually, the wealthier people in the UK are the ones that start cutting back first because they see furthest. They've got kids at private school, they've got 3 or 4 holidays they want to carry on, they've got nice cars, they've got a big mortgage. They're usually the ones that start trimming back first. They could easily go Waitrose and buy a nice loaf. But they don't. They carry on going Gales because they want the luxury, they want the good quality product. And I think that tells me, when I see the likes of Five Guys, Gales, and all of these lot sticking to that quality, what is it they know? That their customers would not tolerate anything less.
That's right. But your narrative is that these businesses are expanding and growing and that they're massively busy. You don't know that for a fact. It's anecdotal from what you've walked in and seen until the data comes through and the profit comes through.
But what we do see is growth. Yeah, they are growing, although it's funded differently.
Funded by a venture capital
absolutely.
company,
Yeah, but it's growing. Yeah,
so absolutely.
But anecdotally,
but growing and profitable are two different things.
No, I get that. But another story, anecdotally, is I won't say what shopping centre because it's too obvious. But I was in a shopping centre and I was in the food court. Yeah,
Merry Hill.
No, it wasn't Merry Hill. No, I wasn't going to say, but it wasn't Merry Hill either. But it was a very popular food court, very busy, and I was there and with a fellow Podsquadder who isn't on today, so it's not you two. And the McDonald's was absolutely rammed. The queues for those terminals were like 20, 30 deep. The Wagamamas, 20, 30 deep. The Miller and Carter's, full. They didn't have a queue outside, but it was full. What's that Japanese one that does bento? I forgot what it's called.
Yo Sushi?
No, it's another one. It's more casual. A bit like Pret, but Japanese. Anyway, Wasabi, I think, full.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And this was like a food court. The fish and chip shop, nothing. Yeah. I'm standing there watching, just nothing. Why? All right, for the most part, fish and chips don't tend to really do well in shopping centre formats, in my opinion.
They don't.
Yeah, so I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But you'd think in relation they'd have one or two customers, but they had nothing. And that's worrying. I think that's worrying. You know, that isn't because the others have all got venture capital when they don't. It's because the offering. Let's focus on the customer offering
and the demographic of people that's going there.
Well, there was a lot of older people which tend to fit more into the fish and chip demographic, and they were walking past.
Thing is that I guess I've always thought that if you're going to go into a food court, the fish and chips are going to be crap.
Maybe that's what people think.
Whereas you go and have a burger in a food court, it's probably going to be a lot better.
Or less crap, maybe. Yeah.
Or less crap. Less crap, yeah. Whereas, my local fish and chip shop is a much better quality. I don't know, perhaps it's the... Yeah.
It's interesting.
Again, data.
Yeah, again...
We need good data on these things.
I'm reading these articles every day, and the biggest thing I'm seeing is growth, but costs are being hit. Like, profits are being hit, but growth is there. And I think, yes, because of the venture capital, their pipeline is greased, and it means that they can open more and figure out this problem in a slower rate.
And I get a 10-year business plan, perhaps.
But
whereas if we don't make money next year, we're gone.
Yeah, that's true. So we need to focus on keeping volume coming and making sure your profits are right, because without volume,
and your margins
you've got
are good,
nothing. Yeah. So moving on, because we've done fish quite a bit. David, you wanted to tell us about your Testo oil management calibration issue, but before you go, I just want to tell people, those that don't know, what the device is. So do you want to say, or shall I?
Yeah. So it's a little device that you pop into the oil, and it just measures the amount of carbon parts per million in the oil. It's not a cheap device. I mean, I think the
total polar composite, isn't it? It's not carbon. It's TPPMs, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like it's the conductivity of the oil. Yeah. And the more conductive the oil, or the more resistant the oil, the more degraded it is. So we've used this, and what we do, we waterfall. So the fish pans end up in the chip pans, and then we replenish the fish pans because we want to run the fish pans at a much lower, a much better quality oil. The chips will tend to clean themselves up because we basket fry and we blanch and finish. So the finishing pan tends to be the one that gets the hammer and then gets thrown away. Well, the Testo seemed to have wandered out, and it was reading the more degraded the oil was, the more amplified the reading was. So the error was much bigger on a higher carbon count. So we calibrated it, and all was well. Apart from the fact that we realised, like 2 months later, when we're thinking this oil's really good, but the Testo says it's crap, and we're really throwing it away because it's a procedure that we've got into. And we found out that the reference oil was shot as well. So the reference oil was contaminated. So new reference oil, recalibrated, and we found out we were probably throwing away, I'd say 30% more oil than we probably needed to.
Is that because someone had dipped the thing into the reference oil dirty?
We don't know.
You don't know.
I've got a clue. No, because it's me that calibrates it.
So
I want to make sure it's done properly. So I don't know if it's gone off. We don't know.
Sounds like my dad.
You know
what your dad's like? When someone else does something wrong, it's the end of the world. And when you do it, it just swept under the carpet.
Just got to keep it quiet. I have no idea. It's got to be me because I'm the only one that calibrates it. So the moral of the story is, if you are relying on data for your business to make decisions, just make sure that data's good. I mean, as a software engineer, the first week that you go in, they always tell you, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
If your original data's crap, the data that's coming out will be crap, and your decisions will be crap. So it's just a little. I just thought I'd share.
Can I add a little note about the tester?
Something from behind the range.
Can I add a little note about the tester as well? One thing I always say to people when they use a tester, because I always get these questions like, will it help my oil management? I think it will. If you've got all the solid oil management techniques in place, I can't see where it would be a negative. So that saves people asking me the question again. But it's about having a routine as well. See, I see a lot of people that use it throughout the day willy-nilly. They just put it in the pan when there's fish in there. You can't do any of that. You've got to have a solid routine. Do you do it pre-filtering, post-filtering? And if you do that, are you monitoring it? Are you keeping it?
Well, I'll just tell you what, from the best system I've got, is that we at night we do a hot filter on the pans to get the crumb out of it, okay? And in the morning we heat the pans up to about 90 degrees. Turn them off for half an hour, just let it melt through, and then we filter. So we do a much cooler filter, which gets a lot more of the carbon out. And then we lift it up, and we always measure at the exactly same temperature across all pans. So you've got a consistent reading, because it is temperature dependent.
Because if you change that,
it's got to be clean oil.
Because if you did that today, and then tomorrow you did something slightly off, then you're thrown, aren't you?
Your metric's going wrong. If you pop that in on a Friday night, after that oil's being hammered and it's not being filtered, it's going to be in the gods. So your procedure's the same, but when your testo device starts to wander, so just make sure if you're using these things that they're calibrated with proper oil and you've got the right reference, because they do wander off. As we'd found out, and I didn't think it'd wander off that much, but I was a bit shocked, and I'm still purging my grief.
Oh, as a Yorkshireman, you're probably still pining the pounds.
Money. I am. I'm not. I've gone as far as inspecting the waste barrels of oil and thinking, can we get some of that back? No, I've not.
Everything's going to be non-organic this Christmas because he's really upset about the cost of living.
That's right. Yeah. We're off to Netto.
That's a little extreme. That is just a little extreme, though, isn't it?
We're off to Netto for his Christmas turn.
Are they still going? I have no idea.
Matt.
But Mark, anything you want to add to that one?
I'm just listening in awe of how disciplined you are, because I think it's coming where having an oil management regime like that will actually become a legal requirement. I know that it happens in Europe, but we're not there yet in the UK. And I commend you for your regime and your discipline.
That went wrong.
So I think,
even though it went wrong, you were doing it. You were doing it in the first place. So
we were trying.
And one of the things I always did is similar to you. I'd always in the morning is bring the temperature up to like 80ish, and then drop it. And right at the end, as it's also, you can see the oil, there's like a millimetre of oil. I'd close it and get blue roll and wipe it all, because the amount of stuff that you get on that blue roll.
Well, if you turn those pans on and melt them to about 90, and then just open the taps and drop, some will go through, but you'll find that you're not throwing too much away, but the carbon settles on the outside of the pans, and it's amazing what you get off the bottom of those pans.
That's what I used to clean with the blue roll, just take it all.
Yeah, we'd blue roll it, and then we use one of your microfiber cloths, not wishing to plug your product, and then just wipe the pans out, and those microfiber gets.
What was that again? Sorry, no, I'm joking.
Microfiber cloth. I prefer the yellow ones or the orange ones. Yeah, it's my colour of choice.
So moving on, we're getting to the end now. But I wanted to talk about something. So I did a podcast the other day with a chap called Andrew Marco, and
very enjoyable that was. I enjoyed listening to that.
I enjoyed talking to him, to be honest. We had a bit of a chat before that, about 2 weeks before, and the conversation was just really good. And I knew it was going to be a good podcast. We talked about valuations, business valuations, such and such, and it was really good. But one thing that occurred to me is that he was saying that to be successful in selling a business, you need to show the potential buyer that it's not dependent on you to run. That is a real good marker of a business that sells. And then I was thinking, well, if you spend 7 minutes on the toilet looking at social media now, you'll see that every small food business now is pretty much doing social media videos to build their business.
Can I just interrupt you?
Go on.
Please sanitize your phone after.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course, yeah. But if you spend any time like looking at social media, you see that the local burger shop's doing videos, the local chicken shop, and everyone is doing it now. And what it's doing is pinning that business to that person. Is that going to make some businesses difficult to sell? And based on what Andrew was saying,
yes,
I think it does. I think if Petrou brothers, and so this is a classic case of a traditional naming of a business. Petrou brothers, like Pete's Chippery, the two businesses that that I was involved in, that you are involved in, were named after people. Yeah, David's not so much. But
I didn't want it to be like Nicolaou Fisheries or David's. I didn't want that because I wanted it to be generic.
Yeah, and I think now I'm seeing it where these businesses are being tied to a social media personality, and there's a shop that I follow down south somewhere, and they were trying to sell it a year ago, and now they're doing all these social media videos trying to lift up the trade, which is fine, obviously, but are they going to sell it? Because when people go there, they're going to say, 1 minute, you guys have basically got a film studio here. And I don't think I can do this. I just want to come and serve fish and chips or whatever it is. I just want to come and cook chicken. I don't want to have a film studio. I don't know how to do this. Mark, what do you think?
I'm gonna reference a really good operator in the business, Hugh Lipscomb, from the Chesterford Group. He came and tried to buy my chip shop off me once, and this was before I won Fish and Chip Shop of the Year. But he was looking to grow the amount of shops that he had in that area. It's not in that area now. I mean, he had one in Bar Hill, which is probably the furthest north he came, and he wanted to.
Well, he's got Stamford now, not Stamford. Sorry,
the
Boundary in Market Deeping.
That's
as far as he is now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, at the time, he was looking to come into Cambridgeshire more, and he came to see me, and he said to me. The problem I have is you've got great turnover, you've got good following, but when I buy this, it's going to drop by 20%. And I said, how so? He said, well, as soon as your name's not up there and people realise you've sold it, it's going to go down. And it was a very astute observation at the time. And I think it was at that point I realised that calling my business after myself and my brother was actually a mistake. And
I think it depends.
The business that I've just opened is called the OK Online Kitchen. For that reason, I don't want it to be associated with me.
Do you think Gail thinks she made a mistake calling the bakery after herself?
Is she like a marketing constructor's Gail?
I don't know.
Yeah.
What like Ashfield Farms and stuff like that?
But does she actually exist? Well, I think sometimes it serves you, but you have to think about your end game as well at the same time.
What about McDonald's? Do you think they regret it? Well, they probably do actually. The McDonald's brothers, yeah. So.
Well, it was set up with that celebrity chef, wasn't it? Ronald
McDonald.
Oh yeah, no. Well,
Sorry,
he turned out to be a bit of a clown.
Yeah, and that other celebrity chef, the Colonel. Yeah, he was.
But I just think like Andrew made a lot of sense, like how you value a business, but that was one thing that was lingering on my mind, like that in today's world. I'm seeing a lot of businesses. Some of them might be profitable, some of them might not be. David, as I'd accept. And they're trying to get customers through the door, and they're also trying to beat the algorithm. Social media now, Facebook and all that lot, they're only giving you reach if you play to their tune. So I get it. I'm not. By the way, we are not knocking this at all. What I am saying is, how can you make that business sell by showing people it doesn't depend on you? So if you look at, for example, Anthony at Merchants, it might give him a different problem. He's got that young girl that's very prominent. I forgot her name now. Oh.
Chip Shop Diva.
Chip Shop Diva, but I forgot her name. But anyway, let's just call her Chip Shop Diva. Like, that means that he's probably free to sell that business to some degree if he wanted to, because it's not attached to him as the owner. It's not his personality that's tied in, and it's not called Anthony's Fish Bar. It's called Merchants. But if she left to go work somewhere else because she's studying to do something else, could it be that some customers are like, oh, where's she gone? What, are we, I don't know. And at the same time, it's a problem you have to deal with, because what you can do, only employ actors to do this. Like, I don't know, it's really hard. I don't know. Like, it's a problem that is going to be a problem. Like, it is. Like,
When customers see me in my shop and they've not seen me for a while, No, I've not seen you for a while. They're like, oh, they've got you in, have they? And I say, look, mate, I'm here every day, but I do all the work when the place is closed, so that you can have smiley, happy people when we're open. Yeah. But they do, customers do like to see you, in your shop.
You'd relate to this, Mark, and actually you might, David, too. It's like when I first started being prominent in the fish and chip shop, it was customers like, oh, what are you doing here? Where's Pete? Where's Pete? Where's Pete? Yeah, and then he was gone because he decided to go on holidays loads, and then it would be like when he was there was like, oh, where's Stel? Where's Stel? Where's Stel? And it's
always better when they're here.
Yeah, and in the end, customers just do what they want. It's all shit, isn't it? They just say
shit.
But I think for me, it comes to when you're genuinely trying to sell a business, and are you going to get someone like Hugh Lipscomb come and say, well, is that person acting here? Are they staying? Yeah. Or how long's their contract for? Oh, well, they haven't. They've got a 0-hour contract. Oh, so they can leave whenever they want. Yeah. Oh, but your whole social media strategy is built on this one lad who's on a 0-hour contract. And you probably won't give him a pay rise next year, so it's going to take sticking up your ass. So, what do you do?
I have to say, Hugh's offer was very generous. We should have took it.
Now you say it. Now you say it. I'll send him that clip.
He's a very, very astute, good operator. I've got so much respect for not just for Hugh, but for the whole family. And my dad was just a fool. Really, he should have accepted. It was a great, very generous offer at the time. We should have took it. So I should have been on a beach for the last 30 years. Really.
What, harpooned or? Sorry,
mate.
I'm sorry.
There was no need for that. Wow.
We have really plumbed the depths.
When you have a brain fart and you can't put it back in,
Isn't it funny how you can just go off someone just like that?
God.
Got no need to talk.
Sorry. I owe you a Turkish now.
Well, I won't be eating it because clearly I won't fit inside a Turkish restaurant.
Oh God. So guys, what I want to finish with, I want to finish with a couple of little fun things. We're releasing this in a week's time. It's going to be nearer Christmas. I want to just look at two aspects of goals: personal goals, business goals. Yeah.
Okay.
And I've not had much thought of this, and I know I've sprung it on you guys, but starting with David, what's your business goal and personal goals for next year?
Oh God! It's like put somebody on the spot. My New Year resolution. No, it's to bloody survive at the way we're going.
Is that your personal goal?
Yeah. I don't know. I was talking to you in sort of summer, and I said I've got a mantra, and it was survive in 2025. We've got there, despite massive amounts of upheaval, and I just want to make sure that the business is respecting the fact that customers want a really if you want really good quality fish and chips in Doncaster, they're nowhere to come. And I just want to maintain that momentum and make sure that we don't sort of start compromising things. So I've got no. You probably don't like this term, and I know this, and I do a lot of sort of I trade financial instruments as a hobby, and I always say to you that I'm an apocalyptimist, and you've got grimace when I say that. And I say, I know things are going to get bad, but we'll get through it. I just want to make sure that what we experience globally, because the amount of debt, and I keep coming back to this, we're a trifle compared to America, and they are printing money like nobody's business, and no one seems to be worried about the end game of that, unless they've got some sort of plan that I'm sure they have that they're not telling us. That at some point there will have to be a reckoning that this will have to be resolved, and I don't know what shape that's going to take. So I just want to make sure I keep my debt low, I keep my margins protected, I look after my customers, because if the shit hits the fan, I want to make sure that I'm not going to get swept up with anything. So it's just making sure that my business is profitable, capitalised, I'm not saddled with a huge amount of debt, and we just keep a steady ship. That's my hope for 2026.
I don't think that's not. That's not advice that anybody should turn their nose at, David. Get your margins right, put yourself in a steady position, and even if it's small gains, baby steps. I really like listening to David Ramsey, and if you ever listen to him, everyone should listen to him. Personally,
Who's David Ramsey?
He's more than a social media influencer because he's built a business on getting people out of debt. Yeah. And that's all he does. Like his business is getting people out of debt, and he's so worth listening to.
Is that where he basically breaks down what they're paying a month and they say?
Yeah, pretty much. He's like an old-fashioned radio show, but now it's recorded, and you ring in. It's like he goes through a series of questions: how much do you earn? How much is your debt? What's your house worth? What's the debt on that? What's your car's worth? What's your debt on it? What's your repayment? And you know what? Like, I love the way he's broken it down into a system, so it's not just luck. Yeah? We have this mindset that, he's lucky because he's wealthy. She's lucky because she's got this.
The harder you work, the luckier you get, though, don't you find?
That is true, and it's also the less you spend. But but he makes some really good points, and honestly, I've looked at a lot of these, and they've really helped me. But I think what you've just said is it's the basics. Have a good business. Look at your numbers. But I'd add to that, just don't think that it's unachievable. Go with it with baby steps. Say, set yourself a little goal. And Jordan Peterson always says people are afraid of setting goals because they don't want to fail.
I think the other thing is that it's accepting the fact that the last 2008 to 2021 was exceptional, given the fact that interest rates were zero. And now there's a real number attached to those interest rates. Go and get a car loan or go and get, it
costs something.
It costs. So, you've got to realise the fact that if you are like spending money like a drunken uncle, that, that world is now no longer here. We don't have that. And it's until we get through this barrier of resolving this enormous debt that we've got. And that's why taxes are going up and we're not getting much back. You've got to appreciate the fact that the world has changed, and you have to you're going to have to change with it.
What I'd add to that is, David, is just to further the point, is just to go, because it circles back to our earlier point, which is we can't pin our hopes on what happens there, though. We've got...
Absolutely.
Us three, and anyone listen to this, if you're afraid of that, what David's just said, that is more reason why you aim hard on your finances.
I love the closing sentence of that article where you said, nobody is coming to help us.
Yeah.
There's no white knight. There's no magic wand to make it all right. It's not going to happen. And the next government, whoever they are, whether Reform or Zara Sultana, if it's the Your Party.
We forgot about her,
we didn't talk about that, yeah. They're going to be inheriting a global financial situation they can do nothing about. It's a cycle. It will complete. I have no idea what it's going to look like, but we're going to have to get through it.
You do remind me of that guy in Armageddon that had that board over him that says the end is near.
Yeah, that's me. I'm going out now. I'm going to go and shout at pigeons in the park.
But for me, like I get where you're coming from. The bigger issue's big, but the way you deal with the big issue is by fixing.
Look after your own house first.
And again, it goes back to personal issues.
Make sure your roof's fixed if it's going to rain.
Like Jordan Peterson will say, you've got people screaming about global warming, this, that, the other. Go make your bed. Start at home. Make sure your bills are paid at home. And this is the thing. And I think this probably goes back to where my thinking came from with that article. Is like we're standing at the window saying, it's horrible outside, and then your house is a tip too. Like you've just got to get everything in good order. Mark, business goals and personal goals.
Could I start with the personal?
Start
ones
where
first?
you like, my friend,
and then I'll go into the business ones, and you can decide where the flip
I know where
takes
the business
place.
is. It's where he's going to hide all his cash. But anyway, go on.
So I want to continue with my weight loss journey. I've been trying to lose weight for 40 years now.
You've lost weight though, I think.
I have, and I'm going to continue with that. My blood pressure is the lowest it's been for 10 years. So I'm good. Yeah, I'm going to continue with that, with being healthy, because if you're not in good shape, then everything else is so much harder to achieve.
Well, as Santa Claus says, as long as you've got your elf.
Yeah, exactly. Next year I hit a significant birthday. And I think it's probably the most 55. 55. Because for anybody that's got a pension, 55 is a very important year because you can start to unlock it and tap into it. And there's things that I can officially retire, even though I'm not going to stop work. I've got personal goals that I want to achieve when I hit retirement age, and that's happening next year. I know I don't look 55. I look like I was 55 10 years ago, but that's happening for me next year. And I've been writing a book, and it's nearly finished, and I'm going to get it finished. I'm going to publish it next year, and it's just a much better version of the really flimsy, not very good one that I put out in 2010.
Yeah, but it was good for the time.
It was good for the time. It did a job. It did a couple of jobs actually, but this version is a much more considered. It's more of a technical read, but it is still a lover's guide, and it's a better book. I'm actually proud of this one, whereas the last one I was just relieved to get that one out. So I'm looking forward to getting that book finished and out next year, and I'm also going to make sure I get my money back from the Crown.
You want to rattle a box in front of the king? Let's see.
Yeah.
Spare a few coppers, governor.
Talking about professionally, I've got my new business. The fish and chip shop that doesn't sell fish. I'm really pleased with how that's going. It's doing exactly what I expected it to do, which means my planning and everything is wasn't fruitless. There's room for growth. It's not fully firing, but there's growth every week. The margins are great. I'm already not working it.
Good.
And just quickly coming back to the podcast you did the other day, one of the comments in there was when people buy a business, they don't realise sometimes they're actually buying a job. I set up this business to be passive from day one, to be a business, not another millstone or weight around my neck. I set it up. It's running really well. It's growing, and I don't need to be there. Yeah. And it's only been open a few weeks, so I'm really happy with that. And podcasts, I've already got 3 really good ones lined up. And I managed to. I was at the Chippy Chat Ball last night. Had a great evening, and I've managed to secure some more. Hopefully, they're not inked in, but they're penciled in.
That's good. Well, look, mate. I just want to say you have lost a lot of weight. We joke. I know. Yeah, I said that joke earlier, but you have.
I'm still a whale.
Yeah,
I'm still a whale.
You're not. You're a minnow.
I'm a pilot, not a killer.
But you do look great, and you're healthier, and well done to you. Genuinely, well
Thanks.
done, mate. And because I know how hard it is. I know how hard it is. And I know I've seen over the years how you've tried, and I think this is the first time over this year that it's really stuck for you. Something clicked, and you've done really well. And so well done.
Fear of getting old and
I
hitting
think it does
60,
happen to us
that
all.
size, I think,
yeah. So well done, you, genuinely, and thank you all for everything you do. I'm so grateful. I appreciate you all. I appreciate the time that you all give this thing, and I know our listeners do because I get a lot of comments back. For those that are listening by this point, I hope they're winding down a bit, thinking about Christmas, or at least thinking about what Christmas is going to bring for them, and hopefully it's just a nice relax for everyone. Hopefully they're busy in the shops, get some money off those customers. And sometimes it does sound like we're negative or we focus on negative things, but actually we talk about hard things that need to be spoken about, and sometimes we laugh and we jest, but it's a thought process, and we're not always right.
And thank you to you for giving us the forum to actually say these things.
Yeah, I think we're finding our way. I think and that's the key thing. It's like we're finding our way, and we're having a bit of fun, but we are talking about serious things. Because there's one thing that we all love, and it is this industry. But no one. I remember Andrew Costantino said this once. No one has a God-given right to a monopoly. Yeah. So when I hear people say, "Oh, well, back in the day we were the only shops in the trade. No, there was no Chinese, there was no Indians, there was none of this, there was none of that." Well, that doesn't exist no more.
No.
I mean, that's someone I probably need to try get on the podcast, actually, because I speak about him a lot lately. Because I think even in those,
he's a good guy,
yeah, and even in all those passive conversations, you don't realise all the good bits you pick up. But yeah, I remember he opened a shop, and it was 3 miles away from someone, and someone rang me up screaming, saying, "Andrew's opening a shop near me," and he goes, "A, it's 3 miles away, and there was other closer shops that didn't care, and B." He said, "Who gave anybody a right to a monopoly?" And it's so true. Exist. And it's the same for this industry. You've got to fight harder right now.
Yeah. Every pound you've got to fight for.
Exactly. And we don't give credit to some of the bigger boys who do scrap for that every day, and make our life harder, your life harder, you know. So you've got to scrap. Use everything at your fingertips to, you know, get those customers through the door. But the one thing that really works is great tasting fish and chips. It's a no-brainer. It almost reminds...
And properly seasoned peas.
Properly seasoned peas.
The curse of my life.
Curse of your life. So, on that note, guys, I appreciate you. Thank you for everything that you do.
And happy
thank you.
Christmas to
Merry
everybody
Christmas
that's
to
listening.
everybody listening.
A fabulous New Year. And we'll see you on the flip side, I guess.
Merry Christmas.
And that's a wrap for another episode of the Ceres Podcast Podsquad. And thanks so much for tuning in. And once again, Kelly and David send their apologies. We don't have to send our apologies because we were there. It's always a real pleasure bringing these conversations to you and sharing the mic with people that genuinely care about the industry. As always, we're here to help your business thrive with great products, proper support and real conversations. Until next time, take care and thanks again for listening.